Thank you. Good morning. This is the Wednesday, March 20th, 2024 meeting of the Nags Head Board of Commissioners. A recess session is hereby called to order. For our moment of silence this morning, I would like to recognize briefly, if you would, a citizen of the town who passed away just recently, Murph Isaacs. Murph, as his actual name was Robert Calloway Isaacs Jr. Most of us knew him as Murph. Died peacefully at his Nags Head residence on Tuesday. He was a beloved fireman and police officer for the town of Nags Head for many years. His memorial service is at 5 p.m. on Saturday, the March 23rd. So I'd ask that you keep Murph and his friends and family in mind. You knew him.
We did. When I started in '90, he was here as an animal control officer, as a civilian, and what just an awesome person. And had the opportunity to go by and see him and his wife on Monday afternoon. And Murph was happy to be back into his Nags Head home. He had been in the medical facilities in Elizabeth City between rehab and the hospital back and forth, but he was happy to be back in his Nags Head home.
Very good.
Thank you for that.
Yes, sir. A few moments of silence. Now, if you'll stand as you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. That brings us to the adoption of the agenda, and a motion would be in order.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. That brings us to public comment, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Leidy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, the board welcomes members of the public to provide comment to the board. It's not an opportunity for dialogue, and the board rarely responds to public comment, but anyone who has an item of interest or concern that they would like to address to the Board of Commissioners is welcome to do so. If you'll please go to the podium and start by telling us your name and where you live, and then addressing your remarks to the board.
Good morning, mayors and commissioners. My name is Susie Walters, and I live at 415 Raceview Court. As you discuss recycling options today, please remember that the town previously provided trash pickup and recycling for over 4,300 residential properties within the town, with Public Works providing this service for 7 months of the year, and Bay Disposal providing service for 5 months of the year during the busy season. This was done with 16 town collection trucks and 10 solid waste staff. We now have 20 collection trucks and 9.5 solid waste staff, according to the 2023 annual report. The board suspended the recycling service on May 6th of 2020 and subsequently terminated the recycling contract on April 30th, 2021. Residents and property owners were provided no alternatives for recycling until May 1st of 2021, but only as personal subscribers of TFC Recycling, with the town providing 2 days of trash collection for everyone instead of 1 day on the west side of the bypass, but no recycling service. Many, if not most, recyclers do not need a second day per week of trash collection. We live in a great town with many amenities for residents and visitors alike. We budget for wonderful sidewalks, bathhouses, beach and sound accesses, parks, events, and a beach nourishment program. We do all of this because it enhances our quality of life and feeds our primary lifeblood, tourism. I would add that recycling is an amenity that is environmentally responsible and expected by many of our guests as well as many of our year-round residents. Therefore, I respectfully request that you reanalyze your strategic goals, the adopted and approved land use plan, and the community expectations to budget and subsidize this much-needed, utilized, and desired service for our citizens and guests. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Walters. Anybody else wish to address the board? If not, at this time we will conclude the public comment session.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'll note that we also had written comments received from Diane Bognich and Mike Anzalone, and they are part of the record.
I did not get Mike's.
Oh,
Unless it came
I'm
in the last 30 minutes.
I'm sorry.
But I just, if I could just read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That one that went to Mike, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yes, okay, all right. So you did see that one. All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Walters. Thank you, John. That brings us then to old business tabled from the previous meeting, and Amy, I think, is going to cover this.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. I would also like to point out that TFC is here if we have any further questions that we're not able to answer. Again, this is just a continuation of our conversation from the earlier meeting in March. We would like to continue our residential recycling contract with TFC. Town staff is recommending to continue the once-a-week collection. It is still $19.85 a month. Currently, it's $15.33 a month. And the new contract will begin in May. TFC will go bi-monthly. That cost is $15.58 per month. However, it is an all-or-nothing approach, meaning either everyone in the town has to go, every other week, or everyone in the town has to go once a week. So you can't just pick and choose. However, the town can pick and choose what months they want to do, if they would want to do bi-weekly in the off-season, and in the summer, have once a month. So you can pick your months that you would want to do every other week. The price is, again, $19.85 a month. However, the escalation, they have agreed to hold that price for 2 years. And on the third year, the escalation would be 7.5%. Again, our recommendation is to continue with the once a week. And we're also looking for some guidance as far as what, if the town is interested in increasing the subsidy. I believe staff's recommendation is to increase it from $5 a month to $6.50 a month. And any ordinance changes based on the board's decisions today will be brought forward in the April meeting. I believe we can maybe do a consent agenda for. But if we have any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
Does anyone have questions for Amy?
We also have TFC Victoria Norsini here as well today.
Okay, yes, thank you. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Amy. Then, before we begin, I will say, I forgot to say Commissioner Sears is traveling and was not able to be here today, so he is excused. I do want to say, I think Commissioner Sears was going to try to talk to everybody on the board. He did say to me, although this is not a vote, that he was in favor of the continuing the contract, but was not in favor of increasing the subsidy had he been here. So I just relay that for your consideration. Commissioner, any questions, concerns?
I don't have any questions. I do have comments, but
Okay.
those are for discussion.
Okay.
Ready for comments or just questions?
Let's go with questions and comments. No questions.
Questions.
All right, let's get let's go.
Comments, yes. I didn't get comments.
No, that's okay.
Question.
Is it better to get the motion on the floor and then proceed with the discussion, and we can do that? All right, then let's have a motion, and then we'll go with discussion in the proper order here. So, does anyone have a motion?
Let me back up for a second. I apologize. Can I ask Amy one question?
Oh, of course.
With the $1.50 subsidy, what's the total? Was it 15,000?
I think it was about 16 or 17,000.
It's a little under 16.
Yes. And that would be budgeted for next fiscal year. And if we need to bring a budget amendment forward for this fiscal year, then I would do that in June.
And can you, just so everybody knows the difference between what we're paying now and what would be paying per month?
Right now, the rate is $15.33 a month. And the proposed rate is $19.85 per month. So the new proposal would increase the monthly cost by $452 per month.
Just for the purposes of discussion, I'll make a motion that we approve as presented with the $1.50 subsidy provided by the town.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All right, for discussion. All right, now's the time for comment, so we'll go back here.
I'd like to see us continue our recycling program. I think that it's, especially being a vacation area, we're an ocean community. I think that we really need to lead by example, and going to every other week would not be good for a lot of people from the feedback I've heard. And I do recognize that this is a cost increase, so subsidizing it does help soften the blow a little bit and hopefully still encourage people to continue recycling. I'm fearful that if we didn't, we'd see people not want to continue recycling, and I don't know if that means they would just drive it here. I don't think that would be the case with vacationers and whatnot, and I don't want to see that happen, so.
Thank you. Commissioner Brinkley.
I'm gonna be kind of just straightforward with it. This is the last time I'll vote for an increase in the subsidy. I mean, we've got one company. Two companies bid. One company couldn't provide us a letter that they're going to recycle. So we're left, no offense, but we're left with one company. How much more? 7% at the end of 3 years. Then what is it going to be? To say that we left the residents with no options in May of 2020, that's incorrect. We had roll-off containers still, is my understanding. Did we have roll-off containers then? In May of 2020, so we had options there. I'm anxious to see, with the increase, even with the subsidy, I'd like to take note of the number of subscribers that we have now. They're going to increase during the summer months, I think, but what the decrease will be with the increase, in price. I recycle myself. My recycling container is more full than my trash container. But how much longer are we going to continue to subsidize for a third of our residents? That's what we're looking at, or less. I just think, like Ms. Susie said, look at other options, but I think we're going to be, in year 3 at 7%, if they can go at that, I think we're going to be in a pickle at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanders.
Well, I'd like to look at other options as well, no offense. I'm just thinking that, you know, the only reason a third of our community recycles is because of the cost. And I'd definitely like to keep it at once a week. And I'm wondering how it went when we actually picked up some of it 5 months of the week. I mean, the other 5 months that we were actually doing it and only doing trash pickup once a week. I would be interested in exploring some more options, because as much as it's going up, I'm wondering if $1.50 is enough. I feel like maybe we need to do a little more, and definitely more to encourage recycling in Nags Head.
Okay, thank you. I will say, you know, I recycle at both my home and my office. Those containers are often full, especially the one in my office is often full. I am in favor, I think, as is suggested, of doing this at this point, because people have a certain expectation, and I think we have a responsibility, and we should continue the program at this point. I agree, I would like for us to look at all of the options, again. You know, I don't want us to go through what we've been through before. You know, the trash discussion became all-consuming at one point, and I don't want to go back to that point either.
It changed every year.
Yeah, it was constant. But I do want, over the next year or so, before we are faced with, you know, I don't like being faced with a reaction. I'd rather that if we consider the options, even if we dispose of them all between now and the time that we get the escalation and have to consider the next contract, that we do explore those options. So if there are no further comments, we have a motion and second on the floor to approve as recommended by staff. with the $1.50 subsidy increase. So I will ask, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Andy. Brings us to items referred to from the town attorney, Mr. Leidy.
I have nothing to present today, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Items from the town manager.
Just the closed session.
Okay, all right, thank you. Board of Commissioners agenda. Bob, do you have anything to bring this morning?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Just briefly, I don't know how many people up here are on social media, but I'd like to compliment the police department and their social media person. You know, this board, I believe everybody, but I know I have received a lot of complaints about red lights.
Yes.
And if you remember in our town survey, that was a big thing.
Yep.
Well, they started something last week, and it got the point across because I had people in the community saying, I tell you what, that's getting people's attention.
Yes.
But she mixed in the importance of traffic safety with, you know, look, we're out there. Maybe a marked car, maybe an unmarked car, but you know, red means stop, yellow means slow down, green means go. So it was such a simple message, but I think it, from what I've heard in the community and the comments on it, people appreciated that. And I appreciate not only the social media aspect of it, but the enforcement, because it's certainly needed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Lambert. I will echo that. I follow the police department, the town and the police department on social media. I think the police department does a very good job. And the red light running has been a topic of discussion. And when we couldn't, you know, resolve that cameras were not feasible, the chief offered that, you know, additional enforcement was an option, and they followed through with that, and I appreciate that as much as the messaging. The other thing that I'll take the liberty of bringing up, I don't have anything to offer. We heard the presentation at our last meeting about the balloon releases, the helium balloon releases, and it's been something in the back of my mind for a while, and I don't like them. They are a real nuisance on the beach. They are a problem. They're here as well as in the town, as well as in the Park Service. You know, there are certain things government can and can't do, and we can and can't control, we can and can't patrol. I would like to see us consider the possibility of banning balloon releases from town property as a first step. I mean, if someone wants to have a celebration in one of our parks, they're welcome to have a celebration in one of our parks. Balloon releases should never be part of one of those activities. And I think that's something we can control. I don't want to get into whether people put them on their mailboxes or not, but I do think we could restrict them from town property and the beach, and the town beach.
Could we do that through the crowd gathering process if they request, like, to use?
That's a really good
That
idea.
it's included in there, and,
Yeah.
and I don't know, if you look at the to book Ocean View room at Jeanette's Pier, you know, they have rules and regulations about what's obviously allowed and not allowed. But I wonder if they also have, because I believe that would be a good.
That would be a good model to look at as well.
To start, so
All right, thank you.
I'd be amenable to that.
Myself too, definitely.
All right, thank you, appreciate that. Then we have a request for closed session in accordance with General Statute 143-318.11A5 to discuss the possible acquisition of real property.
And Mr. Mayor, as part of that motion, y'all do need to identify the property that's.
Okay,
Discussed.
someone have that address or parcel ID number?
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick. What is it? (4222) South Croatan Highway.
Okay, so I add that to the motion, 4222 South Croatan Highway. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, then the board will be in closed session. All right, the board has returned to open session. Mr. Leidy, will you please report?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the board did enter closed session and discuss the acquisition of real estate, but no actions were taken.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there any other business to come before the board? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.